Welcome back to our channel, where we dive deep into the Bible and uncover the mysteries of God's Word. The Bible is not just a collection of ancient texts, it's a living document that speaks to us even today, guiding our lives, shaping our faith, and connecting us to the history of God's people. In today's video, we're going to explore one of the most intriguing topics that has intrigued scholars, theologians, and historians for centuries: the story of the 12 tribes of Israel. Who were these tribes? What promises did God make to them? And what happened to their descendants? Did they truly vanish from history, or are their descendants still among us today? And most importantly, what does the Bible really say about their fate? In this video, we'll explore the birth of these tribes, their dramatic dispersal across the ancient world, and the astonishing prophecies that speak of their future. From the miraculous birth of Isaac to the modern-day implications of God's enduring promises, this is a story you won't want to miss. If you're ready to uncover the truth behind the 12 tribes of Israel and see how it might impact your own life today, make sure to watch until the end. You'll be amazed at what you discover. Before we dive in, take a moment to support our channel by hitting the like button, subscribing, and ringing the notification bell so you never miss an update. And don't forget to leave a comment and share this video with others. It helps us reach more people with these incredible biblical insights. Now, let's get started on this epic journey through history, prophecy, and faith. To understand the origins of the 12 tribes of Israel, we must begin with the story of Isaac, the long-awaited son of Abraham. Isaac's birth is a pivotal moment in the Bible, as it marks the beginning of the fulfillment of God's covenant with Abraham, a covenant that would have profound implications for the future of Israel and the entire world. In Genesis chapter 17, verse 19, God makes a remarkable promise to Abraham. Then God said, "No, Sarah your wife shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his descendants after him." This promise is extraordinary, not only because of its content, but also because of the circumstances surrounding it. Abraham was 100 years old, and Sarah was 90, well beyond the age of childbearing. Yet, God's promise defied natural laws, demonstrating his sovereignty and power. As we see in Genesis chapter 18, verse 14, God reassures Abraham and Sarah with a rhetorical question: "Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time I will return to you according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son." This question underscores the central theme of God's omnipotence, his ability to fulfill his promises regardless of human limitations. Isaac's birth is not just a miraculous event, it is the cornerstone of the covenant God made with Abraham. This covenant, first articulated in Genesis chapter 12, verses 2 to 3, includes several key promises. "I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse him who curses you, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed." These promises are further expanded in Genesis chapter 15, verse 5, where God emphasizes the countless descendants Abraham will have. Then he brought him outside and said, "Look now toward heaven, and count the stars if you are able to number them." And he said to him, "So shall your descendants be." Isaac's birth is the first step in making these promises a reality. Through Isaac, the lineage of Abraham would continue, leading to the formation of a great nation, the nation of Israel. Isaac's significance is further highlighted when God tests Abraham's faith by asking him to sacrifice Isaac, his only son, Genesis 22. This event, known as the binding of Isaac, is a profound test of faith and obedience. In Genesis chapter 22, verse 12, after Abraham demonstrates his willingness to obey God, even to the point of sacrificing his son, God intervenes and reiterates his covenant. "Do not lay your hand on the lad, or do anything to him, for now I know that you fear God, since you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me." This moment solidifies the covenant, showing that Isaac is indeed the chosen heir through whom God's promises would be fulfilled. Isaac's role as the father of Jacob, who would later be renamed Israel, cements his place in biblical history. Jacob's 12 sons would become the patriarchs of the 12 tribes of Israel, each tribe playing a unique role in the unfolding story of God's people. Isaac's life serves as a bridge between the initial promises made to Abraham and their realization in the formation of the 12 tribes. His story is a powerful reminder of God's faithfulness and the fulfillment of his promises, no matter how impossible they may seem from a human perspective. Now, let's explore to the life of Isaac's son Jacob, who plays a pivotal role in the establishment of the 12 tribes of Israel, a role that is both divinely orchestrated and deeply rooted in the promises made to his grandfather Abraham. The story of Jacob begins with a prophecy that foreshadows the destiny of 2 nations even before his birth. In Genesis 25, when Rebekah, Isaac's wife, is pregnant with twins, the Lord reveals a profound truth. 2 nations are in your womb, 2 peoples shall be separated from your body. 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. Genesis chapter 25, verse 23. This prophecy sets the stage for the rivalry between Jacob and Esau, which would have lasting implications. Although Esau is the firstborn, it is Jacob, the younger twin, who is destined to receive the birthright and the blessing, a reversal of the traditional custom of primogeniture. This reversal is a common theme in the Bible, where God often chooses the younger, the weaker, or the unexpected to fulfill his purposes, as seen earlier in the story of Isaac himself. Jacob's journey is marked by significant events that lead to the establishment of the 12 tribes. One key moment is when Jacob, taking advantage of Esau's hunger, persuades Esau to sell him his birthright for a bowl of stew. Genesis chapter 25, verses 29 to 34. Later, with the help of his mother Rebekah, Jacob deceives his father Isaac into giving him the blessing intended for Esau, Genesis 27. This blessing is crucial because it confers not only material wealth but also spiritual authority and the continuation of God's covenant with Abraham. The significance of Jacob's blessing is underscored in Genesis chapter 27, verses 28 to 29. Therefore may God give you of the dew of heaven, of the fatness of the earth, and plenty of grain and wine. Let peoples serve you and nations bow down to you. Be master over your brethren, and let your mother's sons bow down to you. Cursed be everyone who curses you, and blessed be those who bless you. This blessing sets Jacob apart as the inheritor of the covenant promises, a role that will shape the future of his descendants. As Jacob flees from Esau's wrath and embarks on a journey to his uncle Laban's house, he has a profound encounter with God. In Genesis chapter 28, verses 12 to 15, Jacob dreams of a ladder reaching to heaven, with angels ascending and descending on it. God stands above the ladder and reaffirms the covenant made with Abraham. I am the Lord God of Abraham your father and the God of Isaac. The land on which you lie I will give to you and your descendants. Also, your descendants shall be as the dust of the earth. You shall spread abroad to the west and the east, to the north and the south, and in you and in your seed all the families of the earth shall be blessed. This divine encounter is significant because it marks a turning point in Jacob's life, solidifying his role as the carrier of the covenant. Jacob vows to serve the Lord, recognizing the significance of the promises made to him. Jacob's life continues with many trials and blessings, including his marriages to Leah and Rachel, Laban's daughters. Over time, Jacob fathers 12 sons by his wives Leah and Rachel, and their maidservants Zilpah and Bilhah. These sons are listed in Genesis chapter 35, verses 22 to 26. Now the sons of Jacob were 12. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Jacob's firstborn, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar. And Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's maidservant, were Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's maidservant, were Gad and Asher. These were the sons of Jacob, who were born to him in Padan Aram. Each of these sons would go on to become the progenitors of the 12 tribes of Israel. These tribes are not just family divisions. They represent the fulfillment of God's promise to Abraham that his descendants would become a great nation, as numerous as the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. Genesis chapter 22, verse 17. Moreover, Jacob's journey is not just about the establishment of the 12 tribes, but also about his own transformation. In Genesis 32, as Jacob prepares to reunite with Esau, he has a mysterious encounter with a divine being, often understood to be an angel or even God himself. Jacob wrestles with this being throughout the night and refuses to let go until he receives a blessing. This encounter results in Jacob being renamed Israel, which means he who struggles with God, or God prevails. Genesis chapter 32, verse 28. This new name signifies Jacob's transformation and the establishment of his identity as the father of the nation of Israel. The birth of the 12 tribes through Jacob's sons is not merely a biological occurrence, it is the unfolding of God's redemptive plan. These tribes will play critical roles in the history of Israel, from the exodus out of Egypt to the settlement in the Promised Land, and their legacies continue to influence the world to this day. The story of Jacob and the birth of the 12 tribes is a testament to God's faithfulness in fulfilling his promises, despite human flaws and failures, and it sets the stage for the rest of Israel's history. Now, let's further discover the covenant renewed and the establishment of the tribes. As Jacob, now renamed Israel, approaches the end of his life, he gathers his 12 sons to bless them. These blessings, recorded in Genesis 49, are not just paternal words of encouragement, they are prophetic utterances that outline the future destinies of each of the 12 tribes of Israel. This moment is critical because it renews the covenant God made with Abraham and Isaac, now passing it down to the heads of the tribes that will carry Israel's legacy forward. Jacob's blessings are deeply symbolic, each one tailored to the character and future of the son it addresses. For instance, when Jacob speaks to Reuben, his firstborn, he addresses both Reuben's potential and his failures. Reuben, you are my firstborn, my might and the beginning of my strength, the excellency of dignity and the excellency of power. Unstable as water you shall not excel, because you went up to your father's bed, then you defiled it, he went up to my couch. Genesis 49, verses 3-4. Reuben's indiscretion with Bilhah, Jacob's concubine. Genesis chapter 35, verse 22, cost him the preeminence usually reserved for the firstborn. This loss of status would impact the tribe of Reuben, which would later become less prominent among the tribes of Israel. In contrast, when Jacob blesses Judah, the fourth son, the tone is markedly different. Jacob's words to Judah are rich with imagery and significance. Judah, you are he whom your brothers shall praise. Your hand shall be on the neck of your enemies. Your father's children shall bow down before you. Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, you have gone up. He bows down, he lies down as a lion, and as a lion who shall rouse him? The scepter shall not depart from Judah, nor a lawgiver from between his feet, until Shiloh comes, and to him shall be the obedience of the people. Genesis chapter 49, verses 8-10. This blessing is monumental because it designates Judah as the tribe from which leadership and kingship will emerge. The reference to the scepter and Shiloh foreshadows the coming of a ruler from the line of Judah, ultimately fulfilled in King David and, more importantly, in Jesus Christ, the Messiah. This prophetic blessing establishes Judah as the royal tribe, a role that would shape the history of Israel and the world. Another significant blessing is given to Joseph, Jacob's favored son. Joseph's blessing is one of prosperity and protection, acknowledging his suffering and his rise to power in Egypt. Joseph is a fruitful bough by a well. His branches run over the wall. The archers have bitterly grieved him, shot at him, and hated him. But his bow remained in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hands of the mighty God of Jacob. From there is the shepherd, the stone of Israel, by the God of your father who will help you, and by the Almighty who will bless you with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lies beneath, blessings of the breasts and of the womb. Genesis chapter 49 verses 22 to 25. Joseph's descendants through his sons Ephraim and Manasseh would inherit a double portion of the land, as Ephraim and Manasseh were adopted by Jacob as his own sons. Genesis chapter 48 verses 5 to 6. This double portion is significant because it reflects Joseph's elevated status and the continued favor of God upon him and his lineage. These blessings also carry implications for the future roles of the tribes in the history of Israel. For example, Levi, who, along with Simeon, was chastised for his violent actions in Shechem, Genesis 34, is later redeemed when the tribe of Levi is chosen to serve as priests in the tabernacle. Exodus chapter 32 verses 26 to 29. Despite the rebuke in Genesis chapter 49 verses 5 to 7, Levi's descendants are given a sacred role, demonstrating that God's purposes can transcend human failings. Each blessing in Genesis 49 not only reflects the character and actions of the sons, but also prophesies the future of their descendants. These prophetic words lay the foundation for the roles that the tribes would play in Israel's history, from the conquest of the Promised Land to the establishment of the monarchy and beyond. Jacob's blessings culminate in a reaffirmation of God's covenant. As he blesses his sons, Jacob is not just speaking as a father, he is acting as a patriarch, passing on the divine promises made to Abraham and Isaac. This moment is a renewal of the covenant, ensuring that God's promises will continue to be fulfilled through the 12 tribes. Moreover, these blessings have lasting significance. The tribes, each with their own strengths and weaknesses, contribute to the unfolding story of Israel. For instance, the tribe of Judah produces kings and ultimately the Messiah. The tribe of Levi serves in the priesthood, mediating between God and the people. The tribe of Joseph, through Ephraim and Manasseh, becomes numerous and influential, especially in the northern kingdom of Israel. In this way, the blessings of Jacob not only shape the immediate futures of his sons, but also establish the framework for the development of the nation of Israel. The covenant is renewed, and the foundation of the 12 tribes is solidified, ensuring that the promises made by God to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will be carried forward through their descendants. Now, let's explore further to the division of the land and the role of the tribes. After the Israelites' miraculous exodus from Egypt and the long, challenging years of wandering in the desert, the moment finally arrives for them to enter the Promised Land. This land, which God had promised to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, becomes a tangible fulfillment of his covenant. The division of the land among the 12 tribes of Israel is a significant event that underscores the faithfulness of God in keeping his promises. Under the leadership of Joshua, the successor to Moses, the Israelites conquer much of the land of Canaan, the territory God had set aside for them. The process of dividing the land among the tribes is carefully documented in the book of Joshua, particularly in chapters 13 through 21. Each tribe receives a portion of the land, with specific boundaries clearly defined, marking the physical inheritance of the tribes. In Joshua, chapter 13, verses 1 to 7, God speaks to Joshua about the land that remains to be taken and instructs him on the division of the territories. Now Joshua was old, advanced in years, and the Lord said to him, "You are old, advanced in years, and there remains very much land yet to be possessed. All the inhabitants of the mountains from Lebanon, as far as the brook Misrephoth, and all the Sidonians, them I will drive out from before the children of Israel. Only divide it by lot to Israel as an inheritance, as I have commanded you. Now therefore, divide this land as an inheritance to the 9 tribes and half the tribe of Manasseh." The land was divided by casting lots, a practice that underscored the belief that God himself was guiding the process. This method ensured that the distribution was fair and divinely ordained. The tribes of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh had already received their inheritance on the eastern side of the Jordan River, as described in Joshua 13. The remaining 9.5 tribes would receive their portions in Canaan. The distribution of the land is not just a logistical necessity, but a fulfillment of God's promises to the patriarchs. In Genesis, chapter 15, verses 18 to 21, God made a covenant with Abraham, saying, "To your descendants I have given this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates. The Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Rephaim, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Girgashites, and the Jebusites." The allocation of the land to the 12 tribes is the realization of this covenant. Each tribe's territory becomes a physical manifestation of God's promises, with the land serving as a constant reminder of their identity as God's chosen people. For instance, the tribe of Judah, which received a significant portion of land in the southern region, would later become central to the history of Israel, producing King David and, ultimately, Jesus Christ. The tribe of Ephraim, which descended from Joseph, received a fertile and strategically important area in central Canaan, reflecting Joseph's favored status. The Levites, however, did not receive a specific territory like the other tribes. Instead, they were given cities scattered throughout the land, along with surrounding pasture lands for their livestock. This distribution reflects their unique role as priests and servants of God, as stated in Deuteronomy chapter 18 verses 1 to 2. The priests, the Levites, all the tribe of Levi, shall have no part nor inheritance with Israel. They shall eat the offerings of the Lord made by fire, and his portion. Therefore they shall have no inheritance among their brethren. The Lord is their inheritance, as he said to them. The Levites' role was to minister before the Lord, and their scattered presence throughout Israel ensured that worship and the teaching of the law were accessible to all the tribes. The division of the land also carried deep spiritual significance. The promised land was not merely a place to live. It was a sacred space, a land set apart for the people of Israel to dwell in holiness, under the covenant relationship with God. The land was to be a place where they could live out their calling as a kingdom of priests and a holy nation, as God had declared in Exodus chapter 19 verse 6, "And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." However, the story of the 12 tribes does not end with the division of the land. The inheritance of the land came with responsibilities, obedience to God's commands, and the maintenance of justice and righteousness in the land. Unfortunately, the tribes often failed to live up to these responsibilities, leading to periods of conflict, idolatry, and eventual exile. The role of the tribes continued to evolve throughout Israel's history. As they settled in their allotted territories, the tribes occasionally united against common enemies during the time of the judges, but they also experienced internal strife and divisions. The division of the kingdom after Solomon's reign into the northern kingdom Israel and the southern kingdom Judah further complicated the relationships among the tribes. The prophets, such as Isaiah and Jeremiah, repeatedly called the people back to faithfulness, reminding them of their covenant with God and the importance of the land as a sign of that covenant. Yet the tribes' failure to fully possess the land and their subsequent disobedience led to their exile. First, the northern kingdom to Assyria in 722 BC, and later the southern kingdom to Babylon in 586 BC. Despite these challenges, the promises made to the tribes were never fully forgotten. Prophetic books like Ezekiel and Zechariah speak of a future restoration of Israel, where the land would again be divided among the tribes in a renewed covenant with God. For example, in Ezekiel chapter 47 verses 13 to 14, God outlines the future division of the land among the tribes, emphasizing the continuity of his promises. "Thus says the Lord God, these are the borders by which you shall divide the land as an inheritance among the 12 tribes of Israel. Joseph shall have 2 portions. You shall inherit it equally with one another. For I raised my hand in an oath to give it to your fathers, and this land shall fall to you as your inheritance." The division of the land among the 12 tribes is a profound moment in Israel's history, marking the fulfillment of God's promises and setting the stage for the future of the nation. The land served as a physical reminder of God's faithfulness, and the roles of the tribes within it shaped the history and identity of Israel for generations to come. Now let's continue to discover the dispersal and disappearance of the tribes. The history of the 12 tribes of Israel takes a significant and dramatic turn following the reign of King Solomon. After Solomon's death, the United Kingdom of Israel, once a powerful and prosperous nation under David and Solomon, is divided into two separate kingdoms. The northern kingdom known as Israel and the southern kingdom known as Judah. The northern kingdom, which consisted of 10 tribes, quickly fell into patterns of idolatry and rebellion against God. Despite numerous warnings from prophets like Elijah, Amos, and Hosea, the northern tribes continued in their disobedience. This led to their eventual downfall and the fulfillment of God's warnings regarding their unfaithfulness. In 722 BC, the Assyrian Empire under King Shalmaneser V conquered the northern kingdom. This event is recorded in 2 Kings chapter 17 verses 5 to 6. Now the king of Assyria went throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it for 3 years. In the 9th year of Hoshea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away to Assyria and placed them in Halah and by the Habor, the river of Gozan, and in the cities of the Medes. The Assyrians were notorious for their practice of deporting conquered peoples to prevent rebellion. The people of the northern kingdom were forcibly removed from their land and scattered throughout the Assyrian Empire, resettled in distant regions like Halah, the Habor River, and the cities of the Medes. This event marked the beginning of what would later be known as the Lost Tribes of Israel. The term lost refers to the fact that these tribes were dispersed and, over time, seemingly assimilated into the surrounding cultures. Their distinct identity as Israelites was believed to have been lost as they intermarried with other peoples and adopted foreign customs. This led many to believe that these tribes had disappeared from history, never to be heard from again. However, the idea that these tribes completely disappeared is subject to much debate and speculation. While it is true that they were scattered, there are several indications in Scripture that God did not forget them. For instance, in Amos chapter 9 verse 9, God speaks through the prophet Amos, saying, "For surely I will command, and will sift the house of Israel among all nations, as grain is sifted in a sieve, yet not the smallest grain shall fall to the ground." This verse suggests that while Israel would be scattered among the nations, they would not be entirely lost to God. The imagery of sifting grain implies that although the tribes would be spread out, they would still be preserved in some way. Additionally, in Hosea chapter 1 verses 10 to 11, there is a prophetic promise of restoration. "Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured or numbered. And it shall come to pass in the place where it was said to them, 'You are not my people,' there it shall be said to them, 'You are sons of the living God.' Then the children of Judah and the children of Israel shall be gathered together, and appoint for themselves one head. And they shall come up out of the land, for great will be the day of Jezreel." This passage hints at a future reunification of the scattered tribes with the southern kingdom of Judah. It speaks to the enduring nature of God's covenant with Israel, despite their disobedience and exile. The concept of the lost tribes has intrigued scholars, theologians, and historians for centuries. Various theories have been proposed about their fate. Some suggest that these tribes migrated to distant lands and became the ancestors of different people groups around the world. Others believe that remnants of the tribes remained in the region and eventually rejoined with the people of Judah. In the New Testament, the Apostle James addresses his epistle to the 12 tribes which are scattered abroad. James chapter 1 verse 1. This reference indicates that, at the time of the early Christian church, there was still a consciousness of the 12 tribes, despite their dispersion. Furthermore, in the book of Revelation, the vision of the 144,000 sealed servants of God includes 12,000 from each of the 12 tribes of Israel. Revelation chapter 7 verses 4 to 8. This apocalyptic vision suggests that the tribes have not been forgotten, and will play a role in the end times, reaffirming the idea that God's covenant with the 12 tribes remains intact. While the historical record may seem to show that the 10 tribes of the northern kingdom were lost to history, the Bible suggests a deeper spiritual reality. The tribes may have been dispersed and their identities obscured, but God's promises to Israel are eternal. The story of the 12 tribes does not end with their dispersal. It is a continuing narrative of God's faithfulness, His plans for redemption, and His unshakable covenant with His people. So, let's explore the question of where are the modern-day descendants of the 12 tribes? The fate of the 12 tribes of Israel, particularly the 10 tribes of the northern kingdom, has been a subject of much intrigue and speculation throughout history. While the Bible and historical records indicate that these tribes were scattered following the Assyrian conquest, there is strong evidence to suggest that they did not entirely vanish. Instead, some remnants of these tribes likely survived, intermingling with surrounding nations and maintaining to some extent their distinct identities. The Bible provides prophetic glimpses into the future of these tribes, indicating that God has not abandoned His people. In Ezekiel chapter 37 verses 21 to 22, God speaks through the prophet Ezekiel, promising a future regathering of the scattered tribes of Israel. Then say to them, "Thus says the Lord God, surely I will take the children of Israel from among the nations, wherever they have gone, and will gather them from every side and bring them into their own land, and I will make them one nation in the land, on the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king over them all. They shall no longer be two nations, nor shall they ever be divided into two kingdoms again." This prophecy speaks of a time when the divided kingdoms of Israel and Judah will be reunited under one king, pointing to a future messianic age. The regathering of Israel from among the nations suggests that the tribes, though dispersed, still exist in some form and will play a role in God's redemptive plan. Throughout history, there have been various theories about the whereabouts of the so-called lost tribes. Some suggest that the Jewish people today are primarily descendants of the tribes of Judah, Benjamin, and Levi, which were part of the southern kingdom of Judah. However, there is evidence that remnants of the other tribes may have survived and assimilated into the Jewish population, particularly after the Babylonian exile. One example of this can be found in the New Testament. In Luke chapter 2 verses 36, the prophetess Anna is described as being from the tribe of Asher, one of the northern tribes. This indicates that not all members of the northern tribes were lost, and some had integrated into the population of Judah. Moreover, the Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Philippians, identifies himself as being from the tribe of Benjamin. Philippians chapter 3 verse 5, underscoring the continuity of some tribal identities even after the dispersal. In addition to the Jewish people, some scholars and historians have proposed that the lost tribes may have migrated and settled in various parts of the world. These theories suggest that descendants of the tribes could be found in regions as far-flung as Africa, Asia, and Europe. For instance, the Beta Israel community in Ethiopia claims descent from the tribe of Dan, while some groups in India and Afghanistan have traditions that link them to the tribes of Israel. The Bible also provides prophetic promises that speak to the future restoration of the scattered tribes. In Isaiah chapter 11 verses 11 to 12, God promises to bring back His people from all corners of the earth. "It shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set His hand again the second time to recover the remnant of His people who are left, from Assyria and Egypt, from Pathros and Cush, from Elam and Shinar, from Hamath and the islands of the sea. He will set up a banner for the nations, and will assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth." This passage not only speaks to the physical return of the people to the land of Israel, but also symbolizes a spiritual restoration, where the people of Israel will be gathered and reunited under God's sovereign rule. The concept of a second Exodus, as mentioned in Isaiah, suggests that God's plan for Israel is not yet complete. The scattered tribes, wherever they may be, are still part of this divine plan, and their restoration will be a significant event in the fulfillment of biblical prophecy. Furthermore, the book of Revelation also alludes to the enduring significance of the 12 tribes. In Revelation chapter 7 verses 4 to 8, the sealing of the 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel is described, with 12, 0,000 from each tribe. This apocalyptic vision underscores the belief that the 12 tribes, though scattered and seemingly lost, are still known to God and will play a crucial role in the events of the end times. In conclusion, while the 10 tribes of the northern kingdom were scattered and their identities largely obscured by history, the Bible indicates that they have not been forgotten by God. Prophetic passages point to a future restoration and regathering of Israel, where the tribes will be reunited and restored under God's eternal covenant. The modern descendants of these tribes may be found among the Jewish people and possibly in other parts of the world, but their ultimate destiny is in the hands of God, who promises to fulfill His word and gather His people once more. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, please give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Let's continue to explore the Bible together and uncover the truths that lie within its pages. God bless you.